into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome back, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, to Season 2, to the After Show here on AfterBuzz TV, talking about Season 2, Episode 1, Shadows. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, as always, the panel is back. Megan Salinas is here.
Hey there, agents.
Kristin Carole's here.
Hey, everyone.
Joyce Ajouri is here.
I am so happy to be back.
Yeah, how pumped are we, guys?
Soup's pumped.
Soup's pumped.
So much has changed. Sky has bangs. Matt has glasses and a mustache.
I know. Well, I've got my Herr Whitehall glasses, and I've got a mustache. It might not be sticking around though. Hey, Meg, can you turn me up just a little bit
sure.
in my cans here? So, guys, I'm so excited about this episode. We had so much fun watching it, and I hope that you did too. We got this awesome cold open at the top of the show because, of course, Agent Carter is coming this winter. Mm-hmm. So we had to see Agent Carter in action. And how cool was it to watch Peggy Carter leading the Howling Commandos? That was dope.
She was great. She brought Carter to life.
Yeah.
In those 2 minutes. She was amazing.
I love it that she can go from, the film to television, and she just, every single time I see her, I love her. We saw her at Comic-Con. I was just like, she's stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
She's gorgeous. And leading the Commandos is exactly where she deserves to be.
Oh, 100%. She looks so natural at the front of that gang. I'm so happy to see Neil McDonough back as Dum Dum Dugan. They had the whole crew back. I mean, except for Bucky, but...
Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.
Too soon.
But in any case...
He's okay, though.
Ish.
Yeah.
Ish.
Minus an arm.
He's getting there.
But does that mean that Neil McDonough is coming back for Agent Carter? Because I love him as Dum Dum Dugan. And I thought that he was too big of an actor to be coming back for that role. But if that's the case, I'm so game for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, and I'm hoping we see more flashbacks as well. I'm sure, she'd have to cameo again, before they bring Agent Carter out as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Especially since we saw Whitehall at the end. I mean, we'll get to that, but
Yeah, not to
more.
jump too far ahead, but do you guys think that with, kind of this particular introduction, that's something that will kind of that'll weave in and out of this current season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then what we get in Agent Carter?
Well, I feel like what this opening scene points to is that she is integral to the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D. She talks about how there needs to be some group of people protecting all of these things that they've been confiscating, and not just collecting them, but actually enforcing the law. So the SSR will eventually become S.H.I.E.L.D., is what I took from it. What do you guys think?
I would really, again, this is probably a little bit too early to be talking about this, but I would love if, the formation of that group would mirror what Coulson is going through trying to reconstruct S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, there's definitely an interesting parallel to paint there. And also considering that we have this big bad in the form of Dr. Daniel Whitehall, who was a member of Hydra at the time during the 1940s and is still a member of Hydra. Goodness knows how he looks so good. But he is also known as...
Botox.
Yeah, exactly.
Moisturize,
Well,
yeah.
speaking of Kree, right, we totally...
them.
Yeah, is that not... GH, our old buddy guest house?
Yeah.
Totally.
Has
Isn't
to
that
be.
great?
I don't know, because was that the original 084 that they boxed up? Because if that was it, or if that was something completely different, then yeah, that could have been GH.
Well, because I was reading something earlier where it was talking about all the different times that there was that alien signal, and one of them was really briefly on GH. Mm-hmm. And so if you looked, we kind of rewound it a few
had the
times to
freeze
make
frame,
sure, that it was the same. It looked like the same blue skin, and then on top of it, there was a little marking on the side there as well.
Yeah.
So I tend to think it's the same.
I think it's the same too. I feel like it's time that we made a connection. We figured out more about this guy you know, and it's good to find out so soon if it is really him.
Yeah, and it was so great. I mean, I'm sure the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, more than anybody, were thrilled to see Kree in Guardians of the Galaxy this summer.
So great. Although, sorry, it was really weird to kind of go from like all this speculation and, you know, just coming from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and having the Kree just be so otherworldly and so out there, and then to go into Guardians of the Galaxy and it's just right there at the forefront.
I'm kind of wondering, though, this means that the Nazis found the Krees first, so is this going to be kind of like Iron Sky? Like, Nazis are in space, like, grabbing things?
Nazis on the moon?
You know what I mean?
Well, what it could mean, and you said it yourself, maybe a little Kree Botox. The fact is, they had their hands on him first, which means that they could have extracted DNA. They could be working from the same samples that S.H.I.E.L.D. was working with in season 1.
They've had so much time to do research if that's what they were doing with him the whole time.
Right. And we can't discount the fact that it's possible that there were Hydra members working at the guest house or who had access to it. So it's entirely possible that Hydra has a lot of the same technology and has a lot of the same DNA at their disposal that S.H.I.E.L.D. did in season 1.
And if that's the case, then probably the, you know, kind of whatever cosmic blueprints are being created as well. If they're using, you know, Kree DNA in order to kind of keep himself young or anything like that, then he may very well have an entire chalkboard filled with the same writing that we were left with at the end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, he could also just be an immortal, like, I know it's sacrilege to mix up Marvel and DC, but Vandal Savage over in DC is immortal. And he's always trying to conquer the world. So maybe it's something like that. We'll find out more, and potentially we'll see more of Peggy Carter as we unfold.
If you want to keep it Marvel, you could say he's just Asgardian.
Yes, fine. Okay, that makes it way more simple.
Since now we have a DC person.
Yeah. So
It could be Ra's al Ghul.
Check out Gotham with Joyce.
yeah, Ra's al Ghul, exactly. So also we transition into this sting operation. We see the very first 084 get painted. We learn where that signal comes from, and we see this former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent selling intel about the location of what is called the obelisk. This thing that when you touch it, it kills you. Goodness knows why. Although when Izzy Hartley touched it later in the episode, we saw those same Kree symbols on it. So I have to imagine they're connected. Pardon me. Which means potentially GH came to Earth with that thing.
Do you think that inside of it is maybe an Infinity Stone? Just kind of kicking around in there?
I don't know.
I feel like I have been reading, in different sites and everything that they're going to connect all the stones at some point.
Right,
Well, yeah,
for
that's-
Avengers 3.
Yeah.
That's Endgame for, Avengers
Yeah.
That would
But
be
do you think they
interesting.
would tie in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because so far, even though they've had certain cameos, they really haven't brought in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or, we'll see with Carter what they do with it. But it's kind of like, you're out there and we acknowledge you, but you're not a movie.
I think you're raising an excellent point, and namely, millions and millions and millions of people go to see these movies. The audience of the show is too small for them to risk introducing an Infinity Stone on television.
That's
I feel
true.
like those are events that require a film so that people who don't watch the show can still keep track of everything.
And now it's
That's
too,
fair.
and it would almost be unfair to people who don't watch the show but watch the movies and then have to go back, and
Exactly.
it'd be a lot of work that I don't think Disney would put people through.
I agree.
Kind of like being a comic book fan, though.
Yeah, that's why maybe most of the moviegoers aren't comic book fans. Maybe they should be, but maybe not. Or maybe just they can't wrap their heads around
The cool
that.
thing is that maybe they become comic book fans because of the movies. It introduces it to a larger audience, and they're like, wait, who's this Tony Stark guy? If Robert Downey Jr. is playing him, I want to know about him.
Exactly. So we've got this sting operation. We've got this new team of agents. We don't know who they are at first, but Lucy Lawless back on television. Always a pleasure to see her. A lot of us, I think a lot of fans expected her to stick around the show longer. Her demise this episode definitely a shocker.
Yeah.
And I feel like they painted it that way in the press specifically so that it would surprise. So we're
Good call.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, I thought she was going to die, but when you guys were like, no, she'll stick around, that would have been cool. But
I could swear I read somewhere she was going to be there for a few episodes, almost like
Maybe in
Bill
a flashback.
Paxton. Maybe that's what it was. But
Maybe.
we'll just have more flashbacks.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's disappointing, though, because when you cast Lucy Lawless, you there are certain expectations that go with that, and
Absolutely.
it's just really sad that we only get one episode of it.
Maybe she has a twin.
Well,
It's not far.
I mean,
Too
it
far-fetched.
could happen because
well,
it did.
Bill Koenig talks about, so Triplet talks about, and first of all, glad that Triplet's still around.
I love him.
Here,
looks good in a
let's not get
uniform.
ahead of ourselves. I just want to wrap out this scene.
Yeah.
So they're about to buy this information, and we've got Sky and May up in the rafters as their support team, when this dude just comes out of nowhere and totally decks everybody, and he's bulletproof. What's going on? A gifted. This guy, Carl Creel, who is the absorbing man.
Yes.
He is the absorbing man also in the comics. And he can absorb any kind of properties of any material, which is crazy and cool and very well realized. Like, you know, you compare this episode to the pilot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I feel like it's night and day. Every element of the show has clicked into place. We know these characters. We care about them. They've all got storylines to play that are very compelling, and it knows how it wants to connect to the movies and to everything that's been established so far without it being just kind of like ham-handed. Like when Centipede was first introduced in that first episode, I remember feeling like, wow, okay, so they're throwing Extremis and Super Soldier Serum together, and it's just kind of like, why are we doing this? And no. This was great, and the effects all worked. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
I liked him on the screen.
Yeah.
It was really engaging, and it was fast paced. And I don't know about you, but yeah, during the original pilot run, I was just kind of like, okay. But this one, I was engaged the entire time.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to have this show back.
And it hit the ground running.
I have to say, though, I love Coulson, and I was sad that we only had, I mean, I know he's, director Coulson now and everything, so he has to be a lot more serious, and obviously he's dealing with that, his sleepwalking writing. I mean, what he's doing with that, and I think that'll come to surface a little bit. But I was sad that we only had one really funny moment with him when he was pretending to be
Talbot.
Talbot,
Yeah.
thank you. So I don't know. I hope that he kind of goes back to a little bit more of that, because I love him making a little bit more jokes.
Well,
He's
field
very
work.
super serious.
I feel like that'll
today.
take a lot of time, though, because
Yeah.
they're still kind of in this adjusting period. But this is super serial work, super serious stuff. So
Super serial
super
work.
serial work.
Super serial. So yeah, Absorbing Man gets away with the information, and everybody heads back to the playground. Bill Koenig once again running ops, and the big man Phil Coulson is back in the building. Apparently, he's been jetting all over the world trying to recruit new S.H.I.E.L.D. members, and it's exhausting, and it sucks because he has to fly coach.
How much do you think he's actually traveling to recruit people, and the other half of it is going to be this darker Coulson that we're going to explore? Because I was like, I think he's jetting, but I don't think he's always going somewhere. You know what I
Really?
mean?
Do you think he went to Tahiti?
Maybe not.
I think he's
For
still
real this time?
well, because he's got Sky working on the signals or whatever you want to call them on her own. I don't know. I mean, I think he's definitely talking to people, obviously, but I tend to think some of his time is alone time.
And he's not really seen by everyone as much as before.
It's like the
he could
great
be
and
doing
powerful eyes.
anything.
Yeah.
It's also possible that he's just running himself into the ground so that he doesn't have to sleep, so that he, because if he tries to go to sleep, he sees this, constant blueprint or code or something like that, and then he has to just go and write it. So if he focuses on working, or if he focuses on running all around the globe, then he doesn't necessarily have to do the thing that maybe is freaking him out a little bit.
I think you guys are all raising very salient points. I think that for the most part, he's definitely trying to shore up S.H.I.E.L.D.'s ranks, because S.H.I.E.L.D. is so important to him. The fact that Director Fury has entrusted him with S.H.I.E.L.D. Can't be discounted. But I have to imagine that we're going to find out that he's being plagued by these demons, by this code in the middle of the night, and whether or not he's spending half of his time investigating it himself, whether or not he's, just running himself into the ground so he doesn't have to deal with it. Either way, this thing definitely weighs on him, and you can tell. You can tell that it bothers him.
Yeah, he's keeping his distance from people.
And Melinda May is making sure that he is not on the ground. She set the rules. She's like, you're not going to be out in the field, okay, and you're going to check in every couple of days. This was 2 weeks, Coulson. What the hell? He's like, oh, come on, Mom. Stop it.
That's something that I look forward to seeing. I mean, they're totally going to be butting heads in episodes to come.
I love the way she
That's
said
how
that
all
too.
relationships
She's like,
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because she was like, you're in charge, but I'm in charge of you. Or
Yeah.
something like that. That basically sums it up.
Supposed to have the upper hand, but it's not working out that way.
Do we think
Felinda?
a little?
Everybody
Is
loves
this
season?
a
Felinda.
sign for shipping?
This is just it's meeting in the middle.
tips?
They're gonna touch Dingles. No.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Yeah.
I don't think this season.
Okay.
I think there's too much going
You think
on.
that's like the grand plan for the
Yeah,
series?
Yeah.
I don't think that would happen this soon.
Yeah, no.
For sure.
At least not while so much is going on. Maybe later on down the road when things maybe change a little bit or there are a few
Big
shifts.
relationships don't usually develop in bigger shows till the third season.
Yeah, and also, like Melinda May, she had a romance subplot last season. I mean, I know it was largely just a physical relationship with Ward, but like she's so badass. I feel like having her have a new fling every year cheapens who she is.
I agree with that.
Maybe on some
Yeah.
level. I don't know if that's wrong or right, but that's kind of how I feel. And I feel like if we're going to give the Coulson May romance any kind of real weight, we need to take our time. I think you're absolutely right, Kristin. Yeah.
Do you think in these circumstances that they're in now, if Coulson didn't know how he was revived, do you think he'd be acting a little differently?
You mean if he had never found out about Tahiti?
If he never knew what happened, like what Tahiti was.
I don't know if he would have taken charge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about it largely just because I'm so glad that he did find out because I think he's a more interesting character knowing
That's
than
true.
not knowing.
Like another layer has been added to
Yeah.
his
I feel
conflict.
like, didn't they say something about the fact that the reason May had to report wasn't just to see his behavior, but wasn't it people who knew that they had this actually like accelerated their bad behavior faster? Or am I just making that up? But I feel like
think
they
so.
kind of quickly addressed that last season, but
Yeah, or just basically that everyone who had been revived had erratic behavior and crazy behavior, and it had manifested itself earlier than these blueprints manifested in Coulson. I think that was very firmly set up last year. So she's just keeping tabs just in case one day he's going to go nuts, which would be interesting. I'd like to see it. And as
could
much
see
as
it
I love
happening.
Quippy Coulson, Crazy Coulson sounds very compelling. Now, however, Coulson has a task for Skye. Now that he knows about this 084, he's taken aback. He's like, okay, everything that I was doing, I was going to head out of town, not happening. This is the priority. This is a big deal. I've heard about this. I just read about this. Skye, you need to go have a conversation. And she's like, do I have any say in it? And he just kind of is like, sorry. Like, he doesn't even say anything. She's like, fine, Dad. Skye's new hair, approve? J'approve?
I like it.
Really good
suits
look
her.
for her.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
good job, Chloe Bennett.
Yeah, and
Like
she
the
just
hair.
looks gorgeous even when her hair's all tousled and everything like
Yeah.
that. It's like you just
Always
came back from a
flawless.
mission.
Yeah.
How many extensions do you think she has?
Bunches.
I want to know, is it real or is it fake?
You think it's a
Well, I
rug?
follow her on
but,
Instagram, and her hair has looked that way for a
Looks
long
pretty good.
time.
Okay.
So maybe it's all au natural.
Okay.
Chloe, let us know on Twitter.
Let us know in the comments below. So,
I was gonna say in this episode, you kind of see Skye and May have this bond and be a little closer, and then Skye and Coulson kind of growing apart a little bit, or it just seems that way because A, she doesn't see him that often, and B, when she does, she doesn't. It's not pleasant for her.
It's all business.
And I
It's all
almost
business.
think May notices that, and even though she doesn't want to admit to it, I think there's a part of her that probably feels bad that that's happened. And she's lost Coulson a little bit. So they both lost the same person, so they're probably bonding over that slightly.
Well, I think that since the team has kind of collapsed and reformulated a bit, and since Coulson has been gone for so long, they've really had to rely on each other in the field and at home. So now they're far closer than they used to be. The Coulson thing, I think, is a little more complex. Namely, Coulson still has a lot of guilt and mixed feelings over Skye being revived using the Kree. I think that that's one of the reasons he distances himself from her. I think she's hurt because he was her father figure last season, and now Daddy's not coming around anymore. And when he is, it's only to talk about business. You know, the same way that she's like, oh, this is the only reason that you come to talk to me is to have me go talk to Ward.
Yeah, dynamics were bound to change.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's a bummer not to see them as close as they used to be, and I have to imagine it's just the pressures of being the director are one of the key reasons. I think that they'll grow closer as time goes on, but will continue to clash over a lot of things, Ward being chief among them. Skye heads down to the cell to talk to him and to Vault 4. And it's great to have Patton Oswalt be a permanent fixture on this show. And we were saying it a little bit earlier. Triplet was saying that Koenig talks about this brother and that brother and another brother. We were talking about, are they androids? Are they clones? There's no way that there's just tons of identical septuplets, octuplets.
That just sets Patton up to being on the show for a very long time.
That's awesome.
Dodecatuplets.
What?
Dodecatuplets
How
would
many
be
is
12. 12 tuplets.
What?
Yeah.
Dodeca. That makes
Dodeca.
sense.
Yes. So in any case, she goes into his cell and he's got this laser wall that protects her, and he's in rough shape. He's been trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
Or he was
Pieces
for a while.
of sharp
With-
paper that he folded up into.
Literally
Into knives.
everything he
Yeah.
can get his hands on, he is used to try to murder himself.
I felt sorry for him. We were really angry with him, towards the end of the season last season, and now seeing him in that state, it made me feel really bad. But part of me still like, I don't want to believe him. Like, I don't want to believe that he's.
Really?
I don't know.
I have so much empathy after the flashback scenes last year for him.
I want him to be how he was in the beginning, but I just don't believe it yet.
I like Bad Boy Ward a little bit. I mean, I seriously, as soon as she went down there, I was telling you guys when we were watching, I'm like, it's very Silence of the Lambs right now. Like, it's just going to be, hello, Skye. How about some beans? Fava beans.
And a nice Chianti.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted about it because I do think that ultimately they'll try to redeem him or at least get him to the point where they trust him enough to let him out to make an escape. Part of me thinks this whole thing is like fangirl bait to be like, for all the Ward
makes
fangirls.
such
It's like,
sense.
look, he's tortured and
Isn't he
he's
like
sympathetic.
so much more fun now?
I agree with that.
I-
Oh, 100%. But I can't
Interesting.
believe you guys don't trust him.
I'm sorry. Fool
was
me
a
once,
Nazi,
shame
Matt.
on you. I've been fooled too many times by Ward.
But look what he was pushed to become that person. He never wanted to be that person. He just never had any other
No,
opportunities.
I just want to see him out of that cell and redeeming himself.
Matt,
Shirtless.
he has every
Sure, exactly.
I think the writers are setting him up for a redemptive arc, but he has to earn it, Matt.
No, he is redeemed in my eyes. He saved
banging his
Fitz
head
and
against
Simmons.
No, he didn't. He tried to kill them.
No, he didn't.
No.
No,
I
he
don't
tried to
believe
kill
he
them.
did.
I do
He
think
was-
he tried to save them, but that
Yeah.
doesn't redeem everything
he
he's
dropped
done
them to
now.
the bottom of the ocean.
He
How
had
do you
to.
know
It was
that's
the only way.
That's the only
Oh,
way. And
no.
those
Yeah.
capsules were meant to withstand.
Garrett would have killed them if he would have
He's
stayed
the
on
reason
board.
Fitz is brain damaged right now.
Okay, fair, but he didn't
But he
mean
didn't
for
know
him
that
to
was
be
gonna happen.
brain damaged. It was
no,
the best.
No, he meant for him to die.
Megan, it was the best shot that they had at staying alive. Okay, it was not a perfect situation, but it was the best shot that they had.
I
Well, I
disagree.
think it's like I think they were trying to compare it to the dog. He let the dog go, but there was the theory that Garrett ended up shooting the dog later. So it's kind of like he let Fitz and Simmons, or in this case,
He
or
let
the
them
dog.
go to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, I really don't think there was another. I mean, if they would have stayed on board, they're covered in Hydra, and none of them are going to, Garrett practically killed Ward,
He had their best interest in mind.
Yes.
I totally see that.
He's still
I
a bad
totally
guy.
believe that.
I don't think
He's
he's
still done
redeemed.
terrible
don't believe
things,
him.
and I understand why none of the people on the show trust him. I don't understand how you can't trust him and how you can't want him to succeed, because he never wanted to be that dude.
If he's still kind of a bad guy, I love in shows when there's a bad guy that you kind of like. It's almost like The Blacklist, like it's James Spader kind of esque, where you're like, he's not a good
You're
dude, but he's
sympathizing with him.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Ward to get to that level where I'm like, yes, but
I'm rooting
I
for
want
you.
him to be redeemed, but I genuinely think that it's going to take time.
All right.
Was it implied that he is aware that Fitz and Simmons are still alive? It wasn't, right? So he probably has no idea.
He's
He
probably
didn't
carrying
mention
that
them.
guilt. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
think
know
he's
for
thinking
sure.
about Sky too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Honestly, I think
listen,
she's...
I know I lied, but everything I tell you will be the truth for the rest of my life.
That sounds like a major commitment.
Yeah.
But I mean, that little tidbit he dropped for the audience that she left the room before.
I just have so much I want to tell you about your father. Yeah. Played this season by Kyle MacLachlan, who I imagine we're going to see later in the season. Okay, I want to keep going, but first we got to really quickly mention iTunes. Folks, I say it every episode. Why do I say it? Because it's the truth. The best way that you can support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. The fact is, folks, we put out over 80 hours of free content a week. It's insane, this undertaking. It's a lot of work, and we do everything that we can to make that the best possible show that we can for you. If you can go to iTunes, rate and review the shows, it helps us get sponsors, which is how we keep our doors open and our lights on. It's how we get guests. It's how people find our shows, and you get a nice shout out here on the show. It's the best way for us to know that we're giving you the best possible Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast that you love and deserve. And we got a review over the summer, so I'm going to read it.
Nice.
Yeah, a great show, 5 stars from Considerate Reviewer. The commentators do a fantastic job of examining plot points and providing their opinions. Nice, short and sweet, only took a second, and didn't cost a dime. So, folks, right now we're sitting on about 150 ratings on iTunes, which is a great score. But this is a 22-episode season. I have no doubt that we can break 300 this year. And I think that is well within our reach. So go to iTunes, rate and review the show. It'll help us out, and you get shout-outs here with us. Thank you so much for paying attention and downloading our show or watching it on YouTube.
And could we shout out to all the people who tweeted us today? Holy
Yeah.
cow.
My goodness.
Yeah.
A cavalcade of
Awesome.
tweets.
So
Just
many.
a lot of excitement and stuff like that. I mean, we'll give our Twitter handles at the end, but I mean, we're all on there, and it's great that you guys are excited because we're excited
Yeah.
It really
to come
helps.
back as well.
It helps sets our mood.
And
for the show.
you know what? Let us know this week if any of you are interested. If you're watching this live, if enough of you are watching it live, then I think we could institute some live tweeting during our show.
would be fun.
Tweet us your thoughts and join in the conversation. I'd love to do that. We do that on Doctor Who. It's a lot of fun.
We need to get an iPad or something.
Yeah.
I'm so old school.
So we talked about Phil Coulson, talked about Sky and Ward, mentioned Triplet. Let's talk about Fitz.
Oh my goodness.
Simmons.
I have to admit, I did not see what happened coming. I
so
did not see it
sad.
coming. I knew he was a little off, but I didn't think it was like that.
Well, I was really mad right at the get-go because when they have Simmons talking to Fitz and he's not responding, and then it turns out he's just listening, trying to hear something, I thought the show had faked me out. And it's like, oh yeah, he's got a little issues, but he's fine. And then just as the episode went on, it just got worse and worse. And then at the very end, when we show what it actually was, it crushed my soul a little bit.
Yeah, especially they were so close and the touching, and I'm just like, kiss.
Which would have been really awkward.
Yeah, considering that she is
wasn't
not
really
real.
there.
Because
Yeah.
anytime she put her hand there, it just could look like he's massaging his neck.
Right.
Like, oh,
But
this
I
is
didn't.
not a hand.
But it's really subtle. But you don't even realize that she only touches him the whole episode. She doesn't
they
touch
sixth
anything.
sense
Yeah.
us.
That's true.
Yeah, it's done really, really well.
Also, when we first got Fitz and Simmons in the episode, you see May only talking to Fitz. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, no,
When
they
she
pulled
was like-
a
when she was like,
beautiful
"We'll take care
mind.
of it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
That was really, really sad. I almost teared up.
Yeah. I really, really hope that Fitz will be on the mend soon. So, but what Coulson says at the end, he says that Simmons leaving is what broke him. He's got damage to his brain, but it was Simmons leaving that really broke him.
I wonder how long she stayed with him.
Because she thought leaving would be better for him for whatever reason. So,
But did she think that, before he came out, or, was it while he was still in the coma?
I don't know, but
That's, the timeline's interesting.
do you think maybe she left before he really woke up because she felt guilty? And maybe she left, she's like, oh, it'll be better for him if I'm gone. But really, it was just because she felt guilty that he tried to save
talking
her.
about.
She'll be back.
Yeah,
they all come
definitely
back.
be back.
I know, but I also, if this is what it is, if this is all it is, I'm going to be really upset with her, even though she's a fictional character. Okay,
It's not
if she
really her
left
choice.
just because she was uncomfortable with his feelings and and her not being able to handle it now that he was, brain damaged, that would be a horribly unlikable thing.
I think she left him because she couldn't handle it. Maybe she realized that she wouldn't be able to
She couldn't
handle.
see him
She
like
couldn't
that,
see him.
yeah.
However, I feel like maybe she left before he woke up, and she didn't want to know what he was going to be like if he did wake up. So leaving would have been so much easier for her than sticking around to see him totally changed.
It's kind of funny. Now that you bring it up, though, Matt, maybe she, did feel uncomfortable with his, obviously more than friendship love towards her. And maybe she kind of figured, I should leave because he's going to have enough to deal with than with me sitting here, not loving him in that same way. Loving him,
Yeah.
but not in love with him.
But then also,
I wonder.
you connect those feelings to his sacrifice in the containment unit, and on some level she's got to feel a lot of guilt.
Definitely.
Of
Yeah.
if I'd done something, if I had sent some signals, if I had made sure that he didn't develop those feelings for me, he would not be brain damaged right now. Maybe we would be living a different kind of a life. Maybe he wouldn't even be working with me. He worked with me all those years because I led him on, just developing this huge guilt complex over how his feelings led to this sacrifice and ultimately this injury. I have to imagine that's got to be a factor.
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
just as hard for her.
That's
if not
I,
more.
I feel like that's the only way they could really justify her leaving, because I feel like for any other reason it seems really out of character for her. I feel like guilt is really the only thing that can make that, an understandable course of action.
I agree. He's been working on cloaking technology for quite some time, not having a ton of success, but he's so close. He's this close.
I think he'll get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bet on on him.
Do you think it'll be accidental and in a freak event, or do you think he'll actually get it?
I think he'll actually get it. But
There
I
has
feel
to
like
be a
Maybe he'll
dramatic
stumble
change.
upon- yeah, there must be.
Do you think that they're just going to kind of keep giving him little kind of, not to say do nothing projects, but just sort of little projects to keep him occupied to make him feel like he's contributing?
probably.
For
I
now.
hope so. I hope they
now.
give him
He's still
something.
part of the family.
He feels very excluded.
I feel like he'll get to the point where he'll stop imagining Simmons, and then all of a sudden she'll show back up, and he'll be like, "No, you're not real. I just figured this out," and maybe that'll kind of.
That'll mess her up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to move on. We have to talk about Glenn Talbot, General Glenn Talbot, Brigadier General Glenn
He
Talbot.
got a promotion.
Brigadier.
He got a promotion. He's talking about on all the news channels about how, I beat S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra at their own game. The government's on top. Aren't we great? And he's in the park with his wife and son talking about the Navy. The Navy. He's trying to screw with his old man, the Navy. When Phil Coulson gives him a call, Triplet slips him a phone. He's like, "You're in danger. The absorbing man is going to be coming after you." He's like, "Oh, screw you, Coulson." Snaps the phone. Snap! Absorbing man right there. And Melinda May does her best to fight him off.
Talbot tries to knock him down, and he doesn't. But Melinda May just kicks him, and he's down.
Yeah.
So cool.
Well, he hadn't changed into anything yet. He was still fleshy.
he was, you know.
He's still a big guy with like abs of steel before he actually turns to steel.
His muscles are rock hard.
Joyce is a big fan of the absorbing man. She has made her approval
good,
known.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, can
And I
you
like
blame
bald
her?
men.
Oh, all right. Good to know. So they secret Talbot out of there. He thinks he's getting in his own van, but then Melinda May's right there with a night gun, and there he is. He's on the bus in their octagonal or your honeycomb honeycomb death room, kill room, yeah. And Phil's trying to convince him, like, hey man, we're the good guys. We're trying to help you. And he's honestly just playing him, trying to get his voice recording and his fingerprints for an upcoming heist.
So clever.
So clever. Love this sequence. And poor Fitzy's watching as Koenig runs diagnostics. He's like, this should be me.
It's like
Should be
a
my
golden
dad.
boy.
Oh. And knowing now that he was actually talking to himself, it's just like, oh.
Even sadder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they suit up for this mission, and we didn't even really get to touch on on the new guy, Hunter, who is he's very British, likes white T-shirts, and his pals Izzy and Idaho are now dead. But he is a mercenary. He's always been a mercenary. That's who he is. He does it for the money. He doesn't really care about allegiances. He doesn't care about right and wrong, or at least that's what we're led to believe. Mm-hmm. And they all head off to this secret facility where all of the cool stuff has been kept, that he's been advertising on the TV, that the absorbing man is now on his way to go get this 084. And, they sneak him in, classic S.H.I.E.L.D. style. We get this great sequence where they're trying to slip in Triplet as this General Jones. What Joneses ascend to General? Honestly.
Let's just applaud him with Sky when he walks out and he's like, "Girl, you know I look good."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He did. He looks good in a uniform.
Hella fun. Yeah.
I miss him with Simmons.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if that was also part of it too, of just like,
Too many boys love me. I
too
need
many
to get
boys
away.
love me. I need a backup.
Struggle's real, ladies.
Hashtag the struggle is real.
Struggle's real.
Yeah. So they get in there. They're hunting for the 084. They find it, but oh snap! There he is, absorbing man. And he's he had been taken captive.
Which, how cool was that kind of escape little scene? That was pretty nifty.
For him.
Oh yeah, when he had turned
totally.
into glass and was just transparent. Beautiful.
He somehow put on pants though between.
Found them
Between
somewhere.
Well, he beat up the
beating up
dudes.
against the wall and then attacking Lucy Lawless's character.
So he got out of the cell. We
Naked.
suspect naked, and then he was in the wall naked, and then he somehow got pants.
Maybe he was hiding them up his butt.
Maybe does he stick him in the corner? He's like, "I'll get back to you later."
Yeah.
Well, maybe
pants. I'm coming back for you.
Can also
Absorb it as
whatever.
well.
I don't know.
Maybe
he just absorbs them, and it just I don't know. There's got to be an explanation.
Got to be something.
But
I like the pants in the corner idea. Coming back for you, pants.
No pants behind.
Yeah, no pants left behind. Yeah, no pants on his behind.
No.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say there. I was reading during the commercial breaks and stuff about the absorbing man, and there's a moment in the comics where a similar thing happened, where he was held captive in Asgard with by metal bars, just like this little metal capsule thing, and he absorbed the metal and escaped that way. So it was cool to see that parallel here, but with glass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yay.
And it made for a really great visual, too.
Yeah, it did.
Absolutely.
And we did touch upon while we were watching that it was probably like a similar casing that Loki was put in as well.
Yeah, Marvel likes their glass cases.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
They
why
keep
that
an eye.
is.
I think the reason they do that is to keep an eye on everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's also just cinematically, it's nice. It's like,
Yeah, it's
no
pretty.
lines, perfect.
It's pretty.
Unobscured. So yeah, we get this. We get a kind of a brief fight sequence, and Izzy Hartley picks up the obelisk and is like, "Let's see what this thing can do." And I'm just like, "Don't touch
No,
it,
no.
you dummy!" And then her hand just starts rotting immediately, horrifying. And they're able to sneak the obelisk out of there, and she tells Hunter, "You cut my hand off. You cut my hand off right now. You cut my hand off now while you still can, because I can feel it killing me." And she's a badass. She takes it while he's cutting that arm off. Unfortunately, it's for naught, as the absorbing man fucking decks there. Sorry. Damn it.
There was enough
We were so close.
where it sounded like it was censored.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't.
You started a little. It's okay.
Damn it. But he the shot where he completely decks their Humvee and flips it was awesome.
Yeah, it looked
Gotta
great.
say.
It was infuriating, but it
We were
looked great.
everybody. All
You're
of
just
us
talking
watching
about
were
his
like,
abs.
"Whoa!"
Yeah.
Just as like a car flipped over.
Yeah.
I don't know what else happened in that. Let's see.
I was like, wait, who was in there?
Yeah. So he steals the obelisk. He turns his hand into rubber so that it doesn't get infected, and he just takes it. Meanwhile, we had a secondary objective here at the base, and it was to nab a Quinjet. A private Quinjet just for the S.H.I.E.L.D. crew, because we need stealth to be able to do our business and to do it well. It's a make or break moment.
I love the look on all their faces when they turn around and they see that they're actually where the Quinjets were, and it's like they struck gold.
Yeah.
It was cool. Because they probably didn't expect that they were right behind them when they were hiding from those guys.
Yeah. Well, I think they were just stoked. Okay,
Yeah.
we found him. Great, let's get out of here. May rides off on her motorcycle, and Triplet and Sky get in the Quinjet and fly away. And, roughly end of episode. But we also get the reveal, the post-credits reveal, that Herr Whitehall is still alive and that the obelisk is on its way to him. Oh, crap.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No,
What
that's no
does
good.
he want to do with it?
He's wanted to do it for a
How
long time.
is he not super old? I don't get it.
What is his moisturizer?
Exactly.
I'm sure we'll find out in predictions.
Oh.
See what I did there?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, peeps. We got a whole season of cool stuff going on. We got Herr Whitehall. We got the obelisk. We've got all these cool, crazy drawings. We've got, Sky and Coulson having this Kree DNA. What do we think's going on? What's happening? What's happening with Ward? When does he get out of prison? I want him out.
Does he shave his beard?
Never. I hope it stays forever.
And he knows about Sky's father. When did they talk about that?
Yeah.
I was hoping for a little hint of her father this
Last we saw him, wasn't he just in like a tub full of blood or something?
He was covered in some weird
Yeah,
viscous
some goo, and
stuff.
the girl in the
Slime.
flower dress went to go visit him.
Yeah,
Showed
no
him a
sign of
picture of
Raina
Sky.
either. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think they still have to kind of reestablish what's going on with our key group before they get back to that. I mean, I think they'll do it pretty quickly though, because they seem to be doing that a lot better since the second half of last season. But Simmons has to come back, and I still think something's shady with Coulson. I don't think he's just going on runs to get people.
Where do we think Simmons has gone in the meantime? Because obviously we know she's gone, but where do you think that she's gone? Where do
I
you
don't
think
know.
she
There's
went?
no S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy to teach at. I mean, the S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone, so I don't know.
I could still see her going to a school, though. I feel like that would be an option for her.
Well, you okay?
I'm trying not to sneeze.
Bless you.
or Coulson basically says, I've made a bunch of new allies in the UK.
Gonna say,
Yeah.
she must be in the UK, or
So
she
she's
must be
working
somewhere.
that.
One of his connections somewhere. Yeah.
Helping somebody out, helping
Yeah.
the cause.
Which, how great will that be to go and kind of like get international agents helping our S.H.I.E.L.D. crew?
That'd be great.
Well, and it's an
Sweet.
easy way to bring on different guest stars and stuff like that as well, or just new cast members in general. I mean, they'll be like, oh, well, Simmons already knew this person, so welcome them to the show.
And then also, in the preview for next week, it looks like we're picking up, like, right where we left off. Is that signaling a more serialized style for the show? Maybe it won't be as episodic this year?
Probably.
Like, May was still on her motorcycle. Like, it was, like, right where we left off. I don't know.
I think maybe because they realized that, again, with the first half of last season, it was more episodic, and the second half was definitely serialized, and they got better comments and more viewerships doing the second half of the season that way. So why mess with the good thing?
With a working
what-
formula.
Yes.
Yeah.
You no longer have to set up the chessboard, now that everything's in play, why slow down the momentum? Why
Yeah,
not
just
keep
keep
it going?
playing. Yeah.
I like it a lot better this way as well. I enjoyed the first half of this last season as well, but I definitely think this has a better core, and because we know everybody now, we want to see where they go, and there's so many different options they can take us to, and especially how they tied it in with Captain America. Winter Soldier was just
superb.
Perfect.
Yeah,
It was great.
Now, I have a question. Do we think that there will be any kind of tie-in with Big Hero 6?
Oh no, probably not. But that would be
No?
adorable.
I mean, because it is a Marvel movie, but I don't know. I don't think it's in the Marvel
I think
universe.
they might like tip their hat to it, kind of like, in Frozen, if you look in the back, there's like a Mickey Mouse,
Or
stuff like that.
Actually, in Big Hero 6, in the trailer, if you look at one of the wanted posters in the police officer, there's a picture of Hans on one of the wanted posters. From what I've heard, Big Hero 6 is something completely separate from the in-Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's just from what I read. I would love that. That would be wonderful.
I feel like it would almost be too hard, though, too, because it is animation, and it's not actual people. So I think that would definitely be crossing a lot of different genres.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Possibly.
Are there no more Marvel movies until Avengers 2? I think that's...
Is Ant-Man before or after?
I think it's after.
But they're close, right?
No, Avengers 2 is in May,
Yeah.
and Ant-Man I think is at the end of July.
Okay.
So we've got nothing coming out this
So
fall,
nothing
then.
coming out this year,
So
which
no
means
interruptions.
they're free and clear to make their own narrative
and no
without
Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No
And they
weird
don't have to
tie-ins.
rearrange their schedule around any movies. That's great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Joyce, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Monday Night Gotham podcast.
Okay, and Kristin Carole.
You can find me at Kristin Carole 13 on Twitter. I'm also doing a lot of Anatomy of a Movie Talk Nation stuff, and a couple of Spotlight Ons. So one's on Monday as well.
Okay, and Megan Salinas.
You can follow me on Twitter at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on the Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, Z Nation, Classic Who, occasionally Doctor Who, and Ruby panels. I think that's all of them.
Matt, she's giving you a run for your money this year.
Hey, just give me a second, okay? Folks, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on their YouTube channels. And you can find me here. You can find me on Doctor Who. You can find me on the Nick, Ray Donovan finale, The Strain a couple more weeks, Sleepy Hollow, Sons of Anarchy, and you can watch or listen to the Under the Dome finale, which we just had tonight, actually.
Yeah, I think he's got me beat.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. We're pretty close. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.